Hi there. Welcome back to another quick and easy watercolor painting. And today I'm going to do something a little bit different than what I normally do. I'm going to draw a little bit here first, and I've been asked about this multiple times, and lots of times I'm trying to keep my YouTube videos. Well, let's face it, I'm trying to keep them quick and easy. It's called quick and easy because I'm trying to make it so that everybody can follow along, and we can make it so we have a little bit of fun and not too serious. But I've been asked about drawing first, and so I thought, well, maybe today's the day. Let's do it. So I just drew a regular tree in there. I'm not going to try to do too much more than that to it. We're going to make this into more of a mixed media piece than we might normally. This is a 3/4 inch flat brush, and I have some regular blue paint here. You can use any blue that you really want, doesn't make any difference, but we're going to paint right over top of this tree. Okay, so this would be wet on dry, and I'm just going to go for it. I'm just going to do that, and I'm going to take my tissue here. It just came out of the frame there. I'll try to get it back in for you. I'm just going to take a little bit of paint out of there like that. Maybe just give it a little swoop through. Even just take your brush and dry your brush off a little bit, and then just extract some paint however it is that you want it. I want to be sort of blue right across the horizon line there. I'm going to take this brush, rinse it out, and I'm going to pick up some yellow ochre pretty intensely, and I'm just going to go right along that line all the way across there, and just let them bleed together, whatever it is that they're going to do. Don't worry too much about it. I'm going to pick that up a little bit more intensely and let it be a little bit more intense in a few places. Now I'm going to take this brush and I'm going to put it into my sienna here. Just pick up a little bit of sienna, a little bit more than that. You can see how the one color bleeds into the other color. Maybe put a little bit of sienna in a few places across there, maybe across where this tree trunk's going to be, like that. And I'm going to pick up a little bit of green here. This is just a simple forest green. Pick it up a little bit more intensely. Yeah, that's pretty good. Like that. All right, that's turned out not too bad there at all. Okay, I'm going to take my #1 watercolor brush here, and I've just sharpened the one end of it with a utility knife. You could use anything to sharpen it with. You can even use a pencil sharpener. And it doesn't have to be your paintbrush. This could be simply just a barbecue skewer, anything wood. And I'm going to pull out of some of these like that. That's not too bad at all. You could even take a little bit of salt. Take a little bit of your salt here. I'm actually going to put a little bit of Payne's gray right here in a few places, just to give it a little bit of dark. There's not much darkness in this right now. And I'm just going right into the palette. Again, you could just scribe right out of those. Trying to keep this sort of loose and free, and I got my little bag of salt here. And I'm just going to drop a few grains of salt into all that wet area across the front. And just let this bleed. Look, we got a fabulous bleed going on back in there. That's not too bad at all. All right, so what are we going to do with this tree? Well, there's lots of options. I think the best option right now is, see that little chunk right there? I'm just going to take that out. There we go. I think the best option is to just let this completely dry, and then we'll do the tree. And I think that's what we're probably going to do here. To give some indication of where the leaves would be and things in this tree, I think it's probably important right now that we just grab a little bit of paint and just give a few indications of, you know, some leaves, wherever it is that you might want there to be some leaves in your tree. And, you know, you can pick that up more intensely if you want, or less intensely. You can also just take a, you know, if you think, oh, that's too intense, take a tissue and just touch your tissue in a few places like that, and you'll get a much more mottled sort of look. And then you can always go back in and say, oh, I want this to be a little bit more, I want this to be a little bit more brilliant, or that a little bit more brilliant. And then again, if you don't like it, you can just touch it and extract out whatever you want. But for this demonstration, I think we're going to leave it just the way it is there right now. And it's getting pretty dry, but we need it a little bit drier. So take your hair dryer to it. You know, I always have my little hair dryer on hand. Take your hair dryer to it, whatever you want. Maybe not dry this up too much. This will need the water to do its work, but give that a quick little dry and come right back. All right, so I got my #1 watercolor brush here, and I got a little bit of Payne's gray, and I'm just going to start laying some paint onto some of these branches like this. And again, you know, however it is that you're thinking about your tree, and it doesn't have to be that you go over every drawn line there, okay? It does not have to be that. You can just, you know, go over the lines that you want to be a little bit darker. And try to think in layers, you know, try to think, oh, I'm going to put in a couple of layers of Payne's gray here. It doesn't have to be Payne's gray either. It could be black, it could be brown. I usually don't think of trees as being blue, but you can, you know, whatever color it is that excites you or makes you want to paint your tree. There's no rules. I think that's the other thing that, you know, I'm trying to get a lot of my students to buy into, people on YouTube, is, you know, the only rules we have in art are self-imposed. So if you want your tree to be blue, then make your tree blue. Who am I to tell you to not make your tree blue? Make it whatever color you want to be. And with this little #1 brush, I'm just going and I'm touching some of the Payne's gray, like right on the palette. And just picking it up very, very intensely and dropping it into some of those wet areas that I already have on there. And I'm gonna make this one side of this tree quite a bit darker than the others. Okay, like that. You know, loose and free and open, and try not to worry about controlling it too much. Letting the paint do whatever it is that the paint wants to do and not fight it. Yeah, see, that tree's turning out pretty cool. You see all the different little mottled kind of effects. I rinsed my brush off and I picked up some water, just, you know, just straight water, no paint or anything into it, and just going to, you know, allow it to move some of that around to wherever it is it wants to go to. Don't try to control it too much. Take this and just add a little bit into that. Put another big old root across there. I think the other thing that I'm going to do right now is I'm going to take, you know, that tree's looking pretty good all across there. I really like all the different mottled effects on it and everything. But I think we need a little bit of grass or something across here. So I think I'm going to take a little bit of this green and just put some of this green very intensely in a few places here. Just like that. You know, you can put it right up against there. And then I'm just going to use the back of my brush here again and just scribe out of some of that. Create some more green coming out of there. Just like that. You can even take this and add a little bit more water to it, you know, move it around to wherever it is that you want to move it around to. All right. I have my little bag of salt here again, and I'm just going to put a little bit of salt into this greenery here and into this greenery here. There might not be enough water there to do anything with it, but let's leave it and see what happens. I think the other thing that you could do is, I don't believe I have enough darkness going on up in here right now, so I think I'm going to put a little bit more with my number 1 brush. I'm just going to put a few more branches across there, you know, just like that, and maybe even a little bit more intensely in a few places. I'm going to fix that up a little bit. Yeah, fix this up right here a little bit. I kind of like how that clumpiness of that tree is right there. All right, let's let this dry and see what happens. All right, let's check this out. Look at our sky back here with that white, you know, that we extracted some white out of there, and that blue. We have this hazy line across here. Really looks like a hot summer afternoon. And then look at what our salt has done here, created all these very interesting little spots across here. I just put my board into the garbage can and knocked that salt off, and you can see the amazing little effects that the salt creates here. And then, you know, this green, we installed this green in the tree here for the top of the tree branches, and that's all worked out pretty well for us. And the sienna across here mixing together with the yellow ochre and the forest green. And then creating this little mottled kind of effect along here where we have some dark side of a tree and the light side of a tree. You know, we put that little bit of green across here to create that grass. That all worked out pretty good. What happens when we put our mat on here? Yeah, that's a pretty nice little painting. I like it. I'd love to know what you think of it. Please let me know in the comment section. Also, if you're currently a subscriber, thank you very much. And if you're not currently a subscriber, please consider subscribing to my channel. Thanks a lot for watching today, and I hope I see you again real soon.